Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Ajabali Kimcho, Aj Sub Kesuho. Today I'm going over why most relationships, or why a good chunk of relationships are not working out, or they're not gonna work out. Okay. And you can call these relationships, bad relationships, toxic relationships, but I will call it ungrounded relationships, right? From an energetic level, they are ungrounded. Okay. And the solution, or actually the root problem, I should say, is really, really simple. Okay. It's only stemming subconsciously from two places. Okay. It's the fact that, one, people are looking for a reward. Okay. A reward mentally. And the second thing is that they're always looking to feel special. Okay. You combine these two into, different kinds of ungrounded people, and it will turn into a disaster. Okay. Now, I will try my best to explain these two subconscious points in a way that your conscious can actually understand. Okay. So, a little past a minute, I'll go ahead and get started. So I just said, right, that there has to be two ungrounded people in order to form an ungrounded relationship, right? Energetically, this is just how it works. There's never going to be one super grounded person and one ungrounded person, right? The grounded person would just, leave, or they would figure it out extremely quickly that this is not, something's off and let's stay away, right? So just a disclaimer, any of your bad relationships or whatever, at the end of the day, you really got to look in the mirror on what you fell for. Okay. But anyways, moving forward. So you have an ungrounded energetic balance in any sort of bad relationship, right? With this unbalance, usually one person is, I almost want to say putting in more energetically, but that's not the right word. But let's just call it this in a way that, your brain can understand. One person is putting in energetically more than the other person. Now, whether this is a guy or a girl, it will display itself a little bit differently, okay? Don't get too caught up on how it displays itself. Like, oh, I spent all this money on this person, or we had so much, moments of great companionship or intimacy. However it plays out, this is not the point here. The point here is that somebody energetically, and you're going to have to, elevate your awareness to figure this out, whether it's yourself or somebody else or whatever. But somebody is energetically kind of putting in more, okay? And somebody energetically is putting in less. Now, why, right? Now, if you remember at the beginning of the video, or around 1 minute in, I mentioned these two reasons. Somebody's looking for a reward, and somebody is looking to feel special, okay? So let's bucket two groups of people, okay? Let's bucket group A, which is, we can call these the nice people, and we can bucket group B, and let's call these, the toxic people. Okay, although, just a disclaimer, these toxic people let me rephrase. These nice people are just as ungrounded as these toxic people. Okay, although, from an ethical outward point of view, the people in group B are worse. Okay. Now, moving forward. So you have group A, the nice guys. And it's not necessarily just guys that have to simp or whatever, right? It can be girls too, that are just pouring in energy into something that they should not. Okay? These people are looking for a reward for their actions, and they're looking to feel special from the relationship. Okay? And you have group B. These people are looking from a reward. Okay, let me rephrase. They're looking to gain a reward mentally from the stuff that these people do. And they're looking to feel special, again, from the stuff that these people do, right? So this person is, based off of what they receive, is looking to feel special and get a reward. And this person looking for what they give, right, feel special, and they're looking for a reward mentally, right? Now you have to wonder, subconsciously, how did this actually happen, right? How did this come to play? Okay, growing up, right? I'm giving a little bit of a hypothetical, but I'm trying to get your, to understand kind of how subconscious and all this kind of stuff works. Growing up, perhaps people in group A, in school or, at their place of worship or with their family or whatever, they possibly were, doing good things like, helping someone or whatever, right? And they were like, hey, got a pat on the back every time and saying, hey, this is a great job, whatever, right? So that kind of fuels their ego, that it almost kind of trains their mind that if I do these good things, right, I'm going to get rewarded, right? I'm going to be special in some way, right? So this pattern of behavior kind of keeps projecting into their adulthood. Or the opposite could happen, right? They never got rewarded or anything, and then now they're just looking desperately to do stuff, and they're just desperately looking to do stuff to get any sort of, mental reward or feel special in any sort of way, right? So both ways could happen to produce person A, and both ways can happen to produce person B, right? Somebody could not have gotten any sort of, validation or anything or mental reward growing up from anything that they did. So then now they're just looking for it from other people, or looking to feel special from other people, or the opposite, right? They felt so special and so rewarded that it formed this, ego construct, and now it's just, all about me. Give me, keep giving me. Okay? These are just two hypotheticals, but what I'm trying to show you is that the same ungrounded kind of upbringing can produce two different types of people. So two different types of ungrounded upbringing can produce two different types of extreme people, right? And what this is meant to show even further is the level of imbalance in both the people. It's not just this person, right? As much as we would love to blame them. And it's both, right? It's both. So that's that, okay? So you have two different, ungrounded people that are coming together to form this, right? So now the question is, okay, now that we understand really at a subconscious level what is going on, how do we fix this, right? How do we address this or do anything like that? Okay, so how the media or whatever, shit online there is these days is telling you to address it is, stop doing this or start doing this, whatever, right? I'm telling you right now, unless that thing like somehow causes some complete character dynamic to where your energy changes, for example, like losing a bunch of weight, any sort of little superficial thing like, texting games and stuff like that is probably not going to work. Okay. And like I said, sometimes it's very rare that it could work, but it's not that actual thing that worked. Somehow that turned into like some trickling snowball effect to where somehow them starting that changed their whole character, but it had nothing really directly to do with what, they started doing or anything like that. So the point here is you have to recognize what area, on what side of the scale you kind of tend to, right? And a lot of the times, it's not just actually that we're in group A or you're in group B. Sometimes you're in group A with certain people, and sometimes you're in group B with certain people, right? So we all probably have some level of imbalance in both of these areas, right? That cause it to project outwards different ways with certain people, right? So you have to go inside and really determine what sort of factors caused me to be person A, and what sort of factors in a person caused me to turn into person B, okay? Usually, because relationships only happen when there's some sort of energetic match, okay? However, superficially, we're all different, right? So if you both have the same ungrounded energetic match, usually the person who's superficially a little bit higher is going to be the person B, usually, okay? So that's why, they're always the bad guy. Right? Okay, so back to the solution here, right? So you have to recognize when you're person A and when you're person B, right? And like I said, let's just say you determine that, whenever, it's people who are, let's just say, in really good shape, right? I just turn into person A, right? I just can't help it. I'm a simp, whatever, right? Male or girl or guy, whatever. I can't help it. I'm just doing whatever for this person. I have no control, right? So that no control, because that's what it is, right? It's you think you have control, but you're not. You can't help yourself, whatever, right? That no control is coming from you not actually being present in the moment. Okay, you are so overrun by emotions and mental thoughts and stuff like that. And the reason why this overrunning happens is because you have such an energetic imbalance. And you have to figure out where this energetic imbalance is, right? If, for example, you have some energetic imbalance of, and it could be the not necessarily the most stereotypical stuff, right? Some of the most stereotypical stuff is like, I have a need for, you know, um, validation from others and things like that. I have, anxiety of being alone. So that's why that's great, right? And I'm pretty sure there's other people who have talked about it. But in case they haven't, I'll spend 30 seconds talking about it. But it's usually a little bit more deeper than that, okay? But just for the high level stuff, yeah, sometimes, you have a lack of validation. And like I said, even if you're not person A, person B also, right? Like if somebody who's, let's just say you perceive them as not as good looking as you or whatever, that validation from others can also sink in to kind of cause you to do whatever with this person. And then, after a little while, the energetic ungroundedness just gets out of hand and then it ends, right? Now, so it could be, like I said, for, you, whether you're on this side or this side, you have some sort of validation need, right? Like you just don't feel good enough walking around this earth, or like I said, right? You don't feel special in some way. So something needs to be there for you to feel special, right? Or you have anxiety, right? You have certain mental imbalances, whether it be fear, whether it be sadness, like depression or whatever, right? And this is where it gets a little bit deeper, right? The anxiety, what is anxiety, right? You could have all sorts of fears that cause anxiety, right? It's the fear of, judgment, the fear of being alone, whatever, right? But you need to really dig deep, right? But it could also be some other crazier kind of subconscious things going on here, right? Like you could, have some, and this kind of ties into the validation, right? These all kind of things tie together, but you got to make sure you go deep enough in order to really, really clear some of this stuff up. You could have, I'm just giving you a hypothetical example, a fear of not being smart enough, or a validation that other people have to look at me like I'm some sort of genius, right? So that's what's making you go after this person B, right? Like I'm going to be the person who, wins the game, right? I'm going to be, the game of, marriage or life or whatever, right? By finding this, or locking down or this really good partner, right? I'm going to be the person who changed them or who, figured out how to get them or whatever the thing that going in your mind is, right? But you have to be able to really hunker down what the thing is, right? Like I want people to know that I'm, a smart, capable person or something like that, right? It could literally be whatever, right? But these imbalances, in a nutshell, are why, things are the way they are, right? And the reason why these imbalances are more common is because there's a lot more in our society today that's causing the imbalances, right? You can't complain about the imbalances if you are participating in things that are making you more imbalanced, right? Like you got to get off, social media and stuff like that, right? Like I haven't really touched any social media, and I'm coming up on 4 years next month, right? I wouldn't say I haven't touched it, but it's gone from my phone mostly, okay? But my point is, And like I said, if you start changing the imbalances in yourself, you will attract other people without those imbalances, right? Like, I'm getting engaged very soon, okay? And my partner does not have or has not posted on social media in like, I think she's posted like once in like the last 5 years, right? And like barely uses it, like maybe max 10 minutes a day, but like actually 10 minutes a day, okay? In like less than 500 followers, etc., right? But my point is, right, the more you actually change yourself, the more you attract the people who you want to attract, right? But you got to do the work first, right? You're not just like how, like, you're not just going to change into some, supermodel overnight by never going to the gym and eating right? So why would you expect, somebody to attract a certain grounded, energetic person when you're not grounded or energetic yourself, right? I mean, that person could talk to you. They can maybe want to be your friend or something like that, but this is not going to be some long-lasting, happy, blissful romance for the rest of your days, right? That's a completely unrealistic expectation. But I think that expectation has been shoved down our throat by movies and stuff where unrealistically you see somebody ungrounded, or you perceive somebody ungrounded in the movie somehow capturing somebody who's extremely grounded throughout some sort of storyline, and maybe this person becomes grounded themselves extremely quickly, right? But the point is, there's a lot of work involved to become grounded, right? And my recommendation would be to be as grounded as possible. Okay, that's always going to be my recommendation. The more grounded you are, all of this experience of life and relationships are no different. And relationships are probably one of the most important parts of life. It's all coming mentally, right? This is why, like, for those of you guys who are more into, Vedic astrology and things like that, your dashas or your periods in life are completely determined from where your moon's placed in your chart. That's it. That's the story. That's like the energetic mental flavor for the rest of your life, right? So your mind has a very big part of it. So the more you balance that, your energies and things like that will portray itself into relationships, right? But bad relationships and stuff like that, they are directly stemmed from energetic imbalance. Okay, no matter how they're portraying themselves, right? And there is nothing, like I said before this, there is nothing that you can do just purely on the outside that will, cover up long-term and energetic imbalance. There is nothing. Zero. Okay, the best you can do if you don't want to cover up the energetic imbalance directly is to possibly do something that might seem superficial, but somehow behind the scenes causes your energy to change. Like I said, like a great example is going to the gym, right? Or a great example is maybe starting a business, right? It's not just about the money. It's about the character change that comes with possibly being a businessman or a businesswoman or something like that, right? So just remember that, okay? All right, I think that's it for this video, okay? If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to let me know in the comment section or in my email. Until next time, I will talk to everyone later. Thank you all, as usual, very, very much for watching.